During the period that Corey was clean, Corey Haim had not yet kicked his habits. And Corey Feldman was probably suffering from the, which Corey was that now? Because Haim had still not cleaned his act up.
In the mid-1990s, the Coreys teamed up again on 3 more films: Blown Away, National Lampoon's Last Resort, and the sequel to Dream a Little Dream. But they were unable to recapture their 80s magic.
We had signed a 3-picture deal with National Lampoon. We only did one of those 3 pictures. National Lampoon's Last Resort, which was the worst movie we ever did together. Just a train wreck. But for all of these films, I was already sober. And Corey had a big secret, because he wasn't telling me where he was at, and I wasn't asking. At the end of Dream a Little Dream 2, there was a lot of inconsistencies. He wouldn't come out of his trailer. He was nodding in and out on the set sometimes. So I knew there was something going on. I just didn't know what. And then the last film we tried to do together was a film that I directed.
In 1995, Feldman hired Haim to star in his directorial debut, Busted. It seemed like a chance for the longtime friends to take their creative partnership to a new level.
I knew that would be an interesting dynamic, trying to suddenly direct the guy that I'd been partners with. But what I didn't realize was how out of control his drug problem had already become. By that film, he was already to the point where he could not make it through a workday. So he was on the set, I believe, 1 or 2 days, and I had to fire him, which was one of the hardest decisions I ever had to make in my career.
That's one thing about that disease, the drug disease, the drink disease. You become an addict, you become very, very frickin' selfish. You completely don't care or worry about what anyone else is feeling. You can't. You're too high. At least I was.
Busted was exactly that, busted.
In the aftermath, Corey Haim tried to get clean. Instead, he simply added to his vices. When a doctor prescribed Valium to help him deal with the effects of quitting cocaine, Haim became addicted to the pills.
We gave him 100 Valium to begin with, instead of 1 or 2, or monitoring the pill. So he got hooked on pills.
You can't really step out when it's happening and go, well, this is what's happening in my life, and I don't care about anybody or anything else but me.
It got worse and worse and worse, to the point where he was showing up and doing interviews on television incoherent.
Feldman happens to think I've taken more drugs than Keith Richards. God forbid. I mean, I don't know how bad my body is.
After several failed attempts to kick drugs, Corey Haim's future seemed bleak when he got an unexpected call from his old friend.
Corey Feldman videotaped me for 4 days, once. He did a life documentary on his best friend, brother, Mr. Haim, about what I'm like on medication and what I'm like when I'm just awake, like awakened in the morning, off everything. And he finally caught me on like the 5th morning. Corey played me those tapes. I was crying for 4 days. Watching that, hugging Susie, going, oh my God, burn him. He burned him. It was an eye-opener, dude. That was the last time I touched that drug.
In 1997, Corey Haim wanted nothing more than to get off drugs and get his career back on track. The first step toward doing that was moving back to Canada, leaving Hollywood and its temptations behind.
There was a definite incident that I went, I've had enough. And I thought, one too many rehabs, plus being told by people who care about me, like, you know, my mom, my dad, Jason, you know, kid, maybe it's time for you to come home, man. Just come home.
It's a different environment in Canada, in Toronto. I gave him a chance to get away from Hollywood and just be a normal human being without being harassed.
As Haim returned home, Corey Feldman found himself hitting hard times yet again. His money was dwindling, and he was starring in straight-to-video movies.
Here I was once again broke, once again destitute, sober still, But now the press hated me even more, the media hated me even more, and the fans completely disheartened.
Feldman had one creative outlet left that still satisfied him. His band, Corey Feldman's Truth Movement.
I had so much, and I lost it. And so with all that, I wrote a very dark and dingy and self-deprecating autobiographical album. And that was my Truth Movement album, which is called Still Searching for Soul. Just the title alone should tell you everything you need to know.
But Corey Feldman's life was about to take a turn for the better. In 2001, after a string of bad relationships, he met 19-year-old model Susie Sprague at an LA club.
With Susie, I broke my 2 cardinal rules of dating, which is 1, never take a relationship seriously if you meet him at a nightclub, and 2, never date a fan. So she stopped me and she said, "Hi, you're Corey Feldman, right?" I said, "Yes." She said, I'm your biggest fan. I've been your fan all the way up until..." And I said, "Well, until when?" And she said, "Today." And I was like, "Good answer. All right, let's go have a dance."
I was a huge fan, and that's kind of an understatement. It was pretty early on. I realized, like, wow, this guy is way more than I ever thought he would be. He's not your typical human being. He's not your typical guy. And it was really, really what I needed at that point in my life.
I dated plenty of beautiful girls by that point. It was the inner beauty that she possessed that I hadn't seen ever in my life.
By Valentine's Day 2002, Feldman was ready to pop the question. And when he and Susie were married 9 months later, it was in front of the entire nation on the reality series, The Surreal Life. The ceremony was officiated by MC Hammer.
May God bless your marriage.
The producer said, you know, "Oh, it's going to be great television. We'll pay $100,000 for your wedding." So I called Susie. She said, "Well, I'm game. You know, sure, it's going to save us $100,000.
And were plenty of family members who were opposed to the idea of it being on TV. I don't recommend people get married on television, but for us, it was fun. It definitely was fun.
Many who saw the show thought the marriage was a stunt, but in fact, the relationship was rock solid. 2 years later, in August of 2004, Susie gave birth to their first child, a son named Zen.
As with many people, marriage is the best thing that ever happened, and it's the best thing that ever happened to Corey. And then with the birth of their son, Zen, that's his family is really a major focus of his life now.
It's no longer the same vibe going over there. Now I go over there and the baby's sleeping.
He's an impressive father. He loves our son very much, and it's very sweet. And we have a very nice little unit. You know, the 3 of us are really all we need.
Being a father is the greatest thing on earth. Not only am I giving him an opportunity for a beautiful life, but I'm also making up for the damage that was done to me. So it's a twofold win-win situation. You know, I get to help encourage him to have a great, long, healthy life, and I also get to fix some of the holes in my own life.
As Corey Feldman enjoyed domestic life, his old friend Corey Haim quietly kicked drugs once and for all. By the end of 2005, nearly 20 years after they hit Hollywood together, both Coreys were finally clean.
It took a while to get back to myself, and, you know, I'm not going to say that I had bad times. I had some bad times, and then got my head on right, and here we are.
I certainly went down the wrong road for a long time. If I hadn't f***ed up as many times as I did, then I wouldn't have gotten the lesson. I don't see mistakes as a bad thing. I see them as a challenge and an opportunity for growth. And that's why I'm the happy person I am today.
By the end of 2005, both Corey Haim and Corey Feldman were sober, happy, and perhaps most amazingly after all they'd been through, still good friends.
Corey and I are like a real family. We really are like brothers in every sense of the word. We've been through it all together. We've had extreme highs, we've had extreme lows, we've battled drug addictions, we've battled alcoholism, we've had spiritual, mind-blowing experiences together, we've had moments of depravity together.
The fact that they're still best friends after 20 years says a lot. Most Hollywood relationships don't last past the 3 months it takes to film the movie.
When they see each other, they pick it up where they left off. I guess they're probably going to be like that forever. It's like my second kid.
At the age of 35, the Coreys had been through more turmoil than most will experience in a lifetime, but both continued to work as actors, and Corey Feldman added the cause of animal rights to his long list of interests.
It's the best organization in the world for taking care of animals, which is my greatest love in the world.
I think that Corey Feldman has come such a long way. He is a vegetarian, he's an environmentalist, he's very passionate about you know, the way he lives his life and trying to be an ethical person. You know, he has a child, he is a great father, he's a responsible guy, he has a great wife and a great marriage.